Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to be here and to give a statement of 10 minutes to you how we handle such big vessels on the River Elbe in the port of Hamburg. When I was first asked, I said, yeah, at least I need 20 minutes, better 30 minutes, really to explain how we do that. And they said, okay, well understood, you get 10 minutes. So I try to run through the more or less the presentation to show you how, which challenges and solutions regarding the navigation of mega ships on the River Elbe and the port of Hamburg we have. But let me start with one thing. We heard a lot now about economical aspects, technical aspects, and to some points agree, to some points I do not agree. But Salvatore, what you just told was really, you see, I'm also a seaman with a long time, active time at sea. That was really for 100% what I also could say. It's the same, let's say, I think we have the same thoughts in our head. But I should tell now a little bit about the traffic regulation from the agenda. At first, maybe the one or the other is not so familiar with the Port of Hamburg. I tell you some words about the Port of Hamburg. Then the ship's growth development. We have heard a lot about that already. How do we face with the ship's growth development? And then a small outlook. This is a map of the, let's say, of the Port of Hamburg on the one side, and on this side, it's a long way from the North Sea to the Port of Hamburg. It takes about 135 kilometers for a vessel, and that means that's a challenge, especially for the traffic management. And on the right side, you see a map from the Port of Hamburg. And to the public, very often the port is known as a container port. Of course, we are one of the biggest container ports in Europe, but on the other side, we call ourselves a universal port. As you can see here, we do not have only container terminals, we have bunkers, tankers, shipyards, multi-purpose, and all the other vessels, and they are also quite important for us. And I will see the yeah, this shows a little bit, I think I do not have to explain so much. We heard a lot in the presentations before about the development of mega ships for the Port of Hamburg. That means that the increasing rate of such vessels have been within the last years more than 60% since 2008. And whatever the ship owners do they are buying or building bigger ships, or do they build smaller vessels? As a port, we have to handle such vessels. So now, how do we do this? And if I say and how do we face the ship's growth development? There we have 4 points. The number 1 is precise traffic planning and regulation. Number 2 is further development of technical systems. Number 3 is simulation, training, and further education from pilot and VTS staff. And number 4, and that is the, let's say, most expensive point, constructional adaptations. On the one side, if I start with the technical things, we equipped each and every pilot on the Elbe and within the Port of Hamburg with portable pilot units. I think now this is usual in use ports. The next point is that we do not, we of course have also our staff in port, by cars, by launches during their control tours, and we equip them with a port monitor. That means they see on a tablet exactly the situation. How is the traffic situation in port? How is the traffic situation in other things? Which vessels are coming up? And under which points we have constructional works within the port? And all this information, which we have usually in the VTS center, are also given to our staff within the port. Then, of course, when such huge vessels are coming up, that means the training, as I mentioned before. We develop maneuver strategies, we train pilots and VTS staff. We heard about these 400-meter vessels, and meanwhile, we have already taken 4 simulation studies for such 400-meter vessels in our port. And this, everybody I think here, I'm here at the World Port Conference, is familiar with simulation. We have, of course, a tidal model, a fuel model, and a ship's model. And the one point is, and that's why I mentioned this here, it's the lateral surface. The lateral surface from one of the vessels we had in the simulation was nearly 18,000 square meters. And if you see such tall ship over there, it's the biggest German tall ship, it's the Gorch Fock. If they set all their sails, they have a lateral surface of 2,500 square meters. And that shows that, especially for a port like Hamburg, where the vessels have to come 135 kilometers inside, the wind is a very strong point we have to look at. So, and now normally the run should start a little bit. Is anybody from the technical, if you go over, now it starts. This is in one simulation run with a 400-meter container vessel, which we made here in the port of Hamburg. You see now the vessel is swinging. So you see that we used 4 tugboats. And over here, maybe you could see that this was during wind force 7. And also you can see, you have seen before, that all the berthing places were occupied. That means, of course, we could do such simulation and see, okay, the whole basin is free, all the berthing places are free, but we occupy all the berthing places with the maximum ships which can be handled over there. And we do not do this only with container ships. We have done such simulations, Salvatore, you know this, with the huge passenger liners. The one thing is a simulation. The next thing is a comparison between the real incoming and outgoing vessels and the simulation. And that what I mentioned also before, the most expensive point, constructional adaptations. Here are 2 examples from extensions here within the port of Hamburg. This is the entrance to the huge, to our 2 biggest container terminals. And the other one is more in the easterly part of the port. And the next point I also mentioned before is information exchange. Nowadays we have the situation that partly let's say, the terminals, they know exactly at what time the vessel will be completed. And this is not at least the time the VTS has. So partly we're coming to the situation that the VTS, for the traffic management, they think that the vessel will be completed at 1600, but 1 or 2 hours before that, the terminal raised a finger and said, hey, by the way, we will be ready a little bit later due to technical problems, more cargo, whatever it is. We need, and all the participants need the information. It's the same, for example, with the tugboats. Do we really have a sufficient number of tugboats in port? You cannot only count one by one how many tugboats have in port. Are the tugboats manned? Do they have technical problems? From that side, we must have exactly the information. Are tugboats available, yes or not? And it's the same for the boatmen, for the pilots, and of course also from the VTS. And all these informations we combined in one IT system called Prise. And besides that, there are 2 private companies owned by the terminal operators, the FLZ and the NTK, and they do the coordination between the terminals. They coordinate, they know exactly, hey, Terminal A, is your vessel ready, or how long time do you need? And they pass this information also in such a system. Yeah, and then within the exhibition, you will find also at the place from the Hamburg Port Authority our latest technical tool. This is an interactive table. I do not want to tell so much about that. You should take a look within the exhibition on that. So how do we want to improve our service? So one point is the planned fairway adaptation. Senator Jörg mentioned that already in the morning. We want to increase the depth of the Elbe for another meter. We hope that we get the final decision for that in the end of this year, so that we can start, and it will take about 2 years to do so. And the other thing is, of course, further development of technical sequence control, or the development of also technical systems, and all the other points. I think more or less it's in every port the same, and which we are working on. And so we want to make sure that even the biggest vessels, container vessels which are coming up, that we can handle them within the port of Hamburg. And let me say, I see, Max, that you are coming already, that my time is running out. When I started my seafaring career, I surfed, the first vessel I surfed on had a length of 140 meters. And at that time, that was in 1975, I thought this is a real huge ocean liner. And nowadays, a vessel with 140 meters, more or less can serve as a lifeboat for such a big container vessel. So, thank you very much.